Hi, everybody. It's Kat here with another mini-sode for March. And the Mom's Adventure Paradox podcast, I had this download of 5 mini-sodes. We're going to get through those, and then I probably have a few more coming into spring break. But this is a good one because anytime you're traveling or thinking about an adventure or going through a life transition, inevitably, you are going to have disappointments come up where things don't go the way you thought they would, or maybe you just have this down feeling on the other side of something really, really exciting. So I'm going to share a few things with you. By the way, this is like the pray for patience thing because this morning I walked right into disappointment looking for my hat, my signature hat, which if you're watching, I've definitely got bedhead hair. I'm not wearing my hat, which usually covers it up and is part of my signature. I can't find said hat since last Wednesday, and I'm not really sure where it is. And so I made another attempt to try to find the hat today and was met with disappointment. So this is a classic one when you can't find something that you're looking for that you feel belongs to you or you own, and you're upset with yourself because you don't know where it is. And then you start going through the laundry list of explanations for said disappointment. Did someone steal it? Did I leave it in a public place and it's lost forever? Et cetera, et cetera. Here's what I did this morning. I was like, okay, I have looked in all of the places. I've looked once, I've looked twice. Really praying I am going to find this hat, by the way, because I love this hat. But it's time to give it a rest. You know the joke. When do you stop looking for something? When you find it. You know? And when you stop looking for something is when you find it, when you just let it go, when you give it a rest and you go and you do something else. So hopefully this win is coming soon for me and for you if you have something like this in your life. The next disappointment I want to share with you is a weight loss disappointment. So this is something I have struggled with my weight. I've actually learned to embrace my weight journey and not call it a struggle and use different language. But since I'm speaking publicly and that language really identifies with most people in this industry, we talk about weight loss. I love Jillian Michaels, really hoping we're going to get her on the show this spring, by the way. And she has a book that is called Winning by Losing. And that feeling of stepping into your body after having done the hard work and continuing to do the hard work of staying in a body that feels really healthy and really good to you. Now, my experience in my body and having worked as a weight loss coach and coached hundreds and hundreds of women to lose weight and to maintain said weight loss is that there can be a lot of disassociation with being in this new body, especially if it happens too quickly and we haven't really done the work to stay there. So there can be this disappointment as the weight kind of comes back on, as your body is trying to figure out how to stay at this new weight as you begin to eat more calories and figure out what your basal resting metabolism is. This may be a lot of information for some of our listeners, but if you're struggling with your weight, please reach out to me at theadventureparadox@gmail.com. I would love to help you. I have a lot of experience in this and I'm a great coach on this. So I'd love to help you. But in my journey, I recognize that through a combination of injuries, illness, a move across the country, selling our dream home, there was a lot of stress and the death of a few animals, a birth of 5 puppies, et cetera, that had led to weight coming on and just sticking around. So I felt like I was about and am about 15 to 20 pounds above what I call my fighting weight. Now, that said, I also don't believe in getting to that perfect BMI and hanging your hat on that as it'll be great then. This is the adventure paradox. The reality is, when I was in a body that was at the 96th percentile for women in my age bracket at 41, I still didn't feel good enough. So here's the thing. There's always going to be that thing to come back to of just feeling good enough right where you are. And bodies, if you struggle with your body or you struggle with your body image or with weight coming and going or a perimenopausal body like I have, where things might be changing, you are going to meet disappointment. You're going to set goals and then maybe not reach them. So I set this goal when I signed up to ski the Dolomites last June to lose 15 or 20 pounds by the time I got here. I invested a bunch of money into this whole functional medicine thing. I learned a lot about myself, a lot of genetics. I took a ton of pills and I did not lose the weight. It was very disappointing. So when I got to the trip, I met that disappointment right away and I processed it. I allowed myself to say, you know what? I set that goal. I didn't reach that goal. And I am going to meet myself with loving kindness because this is the body that I have today. And this is my mantra for you, by the way. This is the body that you have today. Welcome it and meet it like an old friend. It is an old friend. It could be a new friend. It is your friend, and it is your one and only friend and temple that you have for this day. Speaking of, quick update. Today I have lost 2 pounds. Yes! That may not sound like a lot to some of you, but I have been very disciplined and working very hard for the last week for those 2 pounds. Healthy weight loss is at a rate of 1 to 2 pounds a week, by the way, so I'm right on track and would like to share that win with you. And if you want to know how I did it, please reach out to me. theadventureparadox@gmail.com. Okay, moving right along. So again, what was a disappointment could become a win later, but process it, allow yourself to feel it, and move to the place of loving kindness on the other side of it, because this is what it is, right? When I was traveling in Australia back in my 20s, I had a lot of weird experiences, like being dropped off at a train station where apparently the one train a day left at 6 a.m. and there were no more trains coming until the next day. I had all this luggage. I had a saddle, I had a printer, I had skis. It was like a lot of different things I was doing on that trip. And I remember, first of all, being so disappointed, but also scared and worried and, concerned for my safety, not having a phone or knowing what to do next, having to find other travelers to help me figure out how to get off the train dock and go somewhere else. And I came up with this mantra. This could be the start of a great beeping story. And that became my mantra for that whole trip. Every time I was met with disappointment, I turned it around. This could be the start of a great story. Coming later this week, by the way, is story of the day. So stay tuned for that. But what if you turned your disappointment around? What if, like going back to my weight loss story, I recognize I am not the only 40-year-old woman. In fact, all those women that I coached before I was a mom who would say, oh yeah, the weight came on when I had children. I'd say, okay, that's interesting. When did you have children? And they'd say 26 years ago. And I was like, huh, clearly something's happening with women and women's bodies and their minds and their lifestyles when they have children that is different than before they have children. Well, guess what? There's something different as we enter our 40s. There's actually a whole podcast, and hopefully we'll get this guy on the show because he's really interesting and has a lot of really good information, called Fit Over 40. It's like a rabbit hole, my friends. So I know I'm not the only one having this experience and not the only one saying this could be the beginning of a great story, because it is. Next one, my business. I've done a lot of different things in business. I've owned a weight loss club, which was also a fitness club, and we coached on nutrition as well. So there were a lot of things going on there. It was a big community hub. I've run a horse program, still teaching a horse program. I love teaching young people and women about horses and how to connect to nature and their essential nature through horses. And I run a podcasting business. I teach people how to start a podcast, how to scale their podcast. I've done a lot of different things, but there can be moments where I feel disappointed in my business. I was thinking folks who want to be an entrepreneur, who want to take the step and work for themselves as I do, they probably feel like it's so hard to show up and turn it over to somebody else and work for somebody else. And I would say yes, and maybe the only thing harder is working for yourself. because then it's all on you. You got to tell yourself what to or to not do and follow through. And who do you answer to? Yourself and your higher power, and whether or not you're meeting your goals, your bottom line, et cetera, et cetera. So often, especially in business, because it is just business, if things aren't going well, we go silent. Like we don't talk about those things, right? The same is true maybe with our weight loss or losing the hat or whatever. And I'm going to encourage you to consider the Swedish proverb, which is sorrow shared is half sorrow and joy shared is double joy. So if you're struggling with something in your business, find a coach. Oh my gosh, I've helped so many people in their businesses, and so many incredible women have helped me. And I know I'm not alone. This is why podcasting is so powerful, because two people come together and they say, hey, I'm kind of struggling with this. They're like, oh, how about you try this? Have you thought about this? Start of a great story right here. Or, oh my gosh, the coolest thing happened to me. Let me share this joy with you. That makes me joyful for you. And now you've got this collaboration. What kind of joy could we share together? I hope you're watching this on the YouTube channel or on Facebook, because I'm doing a very funny thing with my hands, which brings me back to the Italian joke about the duck and talking like this, you know? Okay, I totally digress. I'm sorry. If you're listening to this, this is probably really hard to follow. But it does lead me into the very last thing that I want to say. So if you're going silent on something, think about turning it into a great story and who you might share it with. Find somebody to either share the sorrow or the joy with, to pivot, okay? Because any bottom line on a business can be turned around. And it might not be the exit you thought it was, right? There are lots of different ways this story could go. So remember that. The last thing I want to say is that April is coming, and I love April. I know we're in March. Happy birthday, sis, by the way. It's my sister's birthday today. But April is one of my favorite months. April Fools, I love jokes. I love all the jokes in April. So we are going to be sharing a joke a day in April, and we are going to be bringing in a lot of really exciting guests. So I want you to stay tuned for that. I'm really excited about it. Check us out at theadventureparadox.com so you can sign up. We're probably going to have another website for that too, but you're the first to know if you listened to this minisode, and you won't be disappointed because they're jokes. Remember to have a sense of humor about your disappointments. That's my final takeaway, which is basically like dressing up a disappointment. So this is me putting on lipstick, dressing up the disappointment of not being able to find my hat today, but also having a little bit of fun with it so I can feel the feelings, express them, and move on to the next thing. I hope you have a beautiful Monday. I hope that this podcast has served you. Would love to hear about your disappointments. Please reach out to us, and we would love a review. Share this with a friend. Follow. You're not the only one going through disappointments. Remember that. And if you don't have one today, well, now that we're talking about it, you're probably going to see one at some point this week. So think about these tips, share them with a friend. Have a great day, guys. Thanks so much for listening.